However, to be fair to Joy, she has made it very clear. She sat in front of the council, she sat in front of a number of people from around the city and held a hand up and said, we got this wrong and we aim to put it right.
But people say, what about the supporters? Are our requests, and I know they're coming from the Coventry Telegraph as well, are our requests to interview her being passed on to her?
Absolutely.
And she still says no?
At this moment in time, Stuart, there is no prospect of Joy coming and standing in front of supporters here. But with all things in life, things change. And I fully hear what you're saying. And by the way, I agree with your position. You know, Tim, with all due respect, let's hear it from the governor. I respect that. And I suspect over time, Joy's position will change.
We look forward to it. So we'll tell us who you are, please.
Do you give a feedback from these forums on how well it's going? If so, what's her stance?
Hi Tim,
What's her feedback?
my name's Gary. I'm a Coventry fan, I've been all my life basically. I was here Thursday and I listened to you, I'm here tonight listening to you. I'm still confused, I don't know where we are, where we're going. So this is how I see it. When Sisu came in, they rescued the football club at a time when we all wanted them to, which I'm not going to knock you for that, because you did come in, right? You've said yourself you made a mistake. You acquired the club for nothing. A lot of people had shares, lost their shares, basically, right? So a lot of people lost money. You've invested into the club, okay? No one's going to knock you for that. But how I see it is clearly, you came in with a 3 or 4 year plan to make some money and go, okay? Hasn't worked out, so how I see it is, with the council paying off the mortgage through ACL, it really shot you in the foot because you were trying to acquire the Rico basically for as little as you possibly could get it for, okay? It didn't happen, and now you're being bloody minded, not yourself personally, the people that you represent, you're being bloody minded, you're not prepared to make a decision and say, okay, we've had our chance, right? The fans want us to go, so why don't you just go?
Yeah.
Can you answer that, Tim? Do you want to give an answer or not?
Gary, you said you tried to buy the Rico for as little as possible. Call me old-fashioned, but that's good business, isn't it?
Well, why did you do when you first came?
And that, Gary, is a very good point.
Yes, it is.
Okay, gentleman here with a question. Tell us who you are.
I have no idea why the trade wasn't done to get a stadium back in the end of 2007, early 2008. I have no idea. Personally, I would, yeah, but it's kind of irrelevant now. It is very irrelevant. But what does it mean? So, Sisu say, you know what, we should have done a deal at the back end of 2007. And by the way, you would have got the best terms in the world if you'd done the deal then, because the whole thing was falling over. So, I do have to say, I'm a little confused as well as to why this didn't happen back then. However, we are where we are. We tried to do a deal in 2012 and 2013. That hasn't happened. No deal has been consummated. In fact, what has happened is the council have turned around and simply said, we do not want to do a deal with a hedge fund based entity, period. And in many ways we have to respect that because we can't force people to do a deal. However, what we have to do is protect the business, and the business is a football club, and as a consequence we've had to make contingency plans around the football club, which is we have to have our own stadium with our own revenue so you get to a stable business platform.
Just one follow-up to that, Tim. You talk about the decision back in 2007, 2008 being irrelevant now. That decision was taken, can we just be clear so we understand the history, that decision was taken by Onyi Igwe, who was the Sisu man in charge at the time, is that right?
That's my understanding. So I've looked through a lot of the old papers, took a lot of time to try and understand the situation, why we ended up in the situation we did, because to me it didn't seem particularly logical as to why you wouldn't have put the jigsaw puzzle together on day one.
But he took that decision and he's no longer part of the team.
That's right. So that was the strategic decision that was taken. And by the way, my suspicion is, I think that they felt success on the pitch was paramount, and that when they got to the Premiership, they could have done a deal in the Premiership.
Okay, gentleman here with a question. Tell us who you are.
Name's Jeff Greenall. You've said to forecast the moving to the temporary ground, an optimistic forecast and a pessimistic one. One of Gates was 6,000 to 7,000 and one of 3,000. Now, bearing in mind, on a factual basis, last season our away sport, generally for league matches away, was about 600, 700, 800. Our biggest away following was 5,000 Milton Keynes. You've heard everybody speaking tonight and the last two nights. Virtually everybody said they're not going to go to your temporary ground. Where are you getting these projections, these figures from? You're projecting 40% more at the most optimistic level than we took at our best away following all season, which was at Milton Keynes. It seems that your projection should be most pessimistic about 200 or 300, 400 fans going, and your most optimistic forecast should be about 2,000 or 3,000. We take to Shrewsbury 600 or 700. We took to Hartlepool about 500 or 600. Why would you suddenly believe that 4,000 or 5,000 people are going to go to Walsall or Birmingham when you can see the amount of hostility there is? I mean, I just don't know where you're getting these figures from. They're just figures. You might as well say there's 30,000 going. But the simple fact is there won't be. We're not Man United. Our away support, the whole of last season, at most away games, was about 1,800, 700 fans. Not 3,000, not 4,000, and certainly not 7,000.
Tim, where are you getting figures from?
Well, the numbers have come from discussions way beyond here. We've looked at, for example, what happened with clubs like Brighton, Charlton, Rotherham, and they did ground shares which were in the area, and they were able to have a sustainable level of support.
Okay, a couple of questions back here. Gentlemen, please tell us who you are.
Right, I'm Andy. I'm not here to slate you, because you saved the club a few years ago, but it's all gone downhill from there. Sorry, just what I wanted to really know was, you've got a finance bloke sat next to you, you want what's best for the club. Surely investing money in players from the very beginning, rather than selling the likes of Westwood, Dan Fox, King, Jukovic, as we all know. Surely if you started off investing from the word go, it would have been better, possibly got somewhere near the playoffs, got more money coming in. Just as like a general finance, why did it take selling players and not investing to get to the stage we're at now?
I can't talk about players that left. What I can say, for example, I found some very surprising positions. So, for example, we talk about Westwood. I don't understand why he was allowed to leave for no value. I find that one particularly remarkable. In terms of players being sold, whether that's Dan Fox and the like, again, I can't really comment on the levels of income that they realised, whether they were good trades or bad trades. But like any other trading business, the management at the time does what it believes is best for the business at that time. So I'm sure there was a reason why Westwood was allowed to run off. I'm sure that equally there was a reason why Leon Best was sold for the level he did.
Okay, two more questions. Gentlemen here.
Thank you. Tim, my name is Richard. Whenever you get an institution that has an almost impenetrable web of companies attached to it, it's never for the public good. To avoid tax, to transfer debt from one company to another, all sorts of reasons, sadly in some cases, Maxwell, but dishonest reasons. Can you assure us, in the case of whatever Coventry City is at the moment, can you assure us that the financial affairs of Coventry City are straightforward, do not involve any debt from elsewhere, and will never do so?
I can assure you that all the debt that is sitting over the football club at the moment is monies that has been put in by Sisu and Sisu related companies, full stop. There is no sense of smoke or mirrors or any suggestion or hint of anything that wouldn't come and pass full scrutiny by any regulatory body.
Okay, gentlemen here.
I'm Adam. I'm just wondering, how can we trust you with everything you're saying, and also, Do you not talk to George Parla and these people and do your research about these past transfers, past players? We know about it, so why don't you?
Exactly.
No, of course I've done my research. I do know the numbers. My point was,
Well,
I
tell us
don't know, for example, why Leon Best was sold for 1.x million. I don't know. Was that a good trade or a bad trade? Was he actually worth 3 and we sold out too early? Or was he worth 0.5 and it was a great trade? I really don't know. That's my point.
Yeah, but you're saying about, why don't you saying you don't know about Kieran Westwood? Ask someone about it then.
Yeah.
It's after the event, what should I do? Should I go to the former board directors and say, why did you let this asset run off?
Why didn't you ask Joy?
Because Joy wasn't involved with the football club board at that time. So the way that CISU works is that it takes its investment monies and it empowers a board and a management team to manage the business, and it would have empowered whoever was on the board. I don't know who was on the board at the time of Westwood. Who was on the board at the time of Westwood? Sorry? I'm sorry, say again.
The gentleman saying someone must know the answer to this.
Know the answer to which question?
Why the players were sold?
Yeah, of course, because what would have happened, it would have been minuted that, for example, we can get the best value by selling Best now, or there must be some reason. So, for example, there must have been a reason why they didn't give Kieran Westwood a new deal. And that new deal, I suspect, would have included a reasonable hike in wages. So a decision was made to run him off.
Okay, gentleman here with a question.
Hi Tim. If a better bidder comes in for the club, regardless of Port Appleton, regulations, everything, if it's genuinely better for the club, are you willing to sell? And if you're not willing to sell, can you justify that, please?
You're asking an impossible question. What you're saying is, don't forget what Mr. Appleton's got to do. Mr. Appleton's got to get the best value for the creditors. So he will continue to do that. So if he sits up in the middle of the night and says, actually, I like the colour of this guy's eyes over here, it's irrelevant. He has got to perform on behalf of the creditors.
And he is an officer of the court, so he has to apply the rules that the court imposes on him. Gentleman here.
Hi Tim, my name's Ray Clark. I'm a season ticket holder for 20 plus years. I have